Assalamualaikum and welcome to today's panel discussion. I'm Hazirah and I'm the brand communication strategist at HalalTrip. I'm very excited to talk to you a bit more on this panel discussion because we're going to talk to the new wave of halal travel, that is the Gen Z Muslim travelers. Now, who are the Gen Z Muslim travelers? They are born in the late 1990s until the early 2010s, and this generation will soon shape the travel industry with their unique preferences and perspectives. Hence, it is why it's important for destinations to think a bit more on how to appeal to this generation because they are soon able to travel the world and experience different cultures, as well as they have a bigger spending power now to be able to experience different things. So this generation is powered by technology, the hunger for authentic cultural experiences, and of course, for some, they are interested in off the beaten path travels. Today, we're listening to the thoughts of Gen Z Muslims in Halal Trip. First up, we have Adila, who is the UI UX designer at Halal Trip. Adila, hello.
Hi there, Hazira.
Hello. So Adila is currently in Indonesia and she's based there. But maybe Adila, you can share a bit more on what kind of a traveler you are.
Yeah, sure. I'm actually a traveler that's like I like to explore new places and I like to be a bit adventurous, but I also like my travels to be planned out beforehand. So I like to know everything that I can know about a particular destination. So I guess I'm a planner, but I still
Mhm.
like adventure and discovering new things. Yeah.
Right. I totally get that because sometimes I can be a planner, but sometimes it's a bit too stressful for me, so I just give up halfway. But moving on to Adrie. So Adrie is the video producer at Halal Trip. Adrie, what kind of traveler are you?
Okay, so for me, I'm more of a family traveler because I travel mostly with my family. However, I've been planning travels with my friends quite recently. So we've tried places like Johor Bahru, KL, and we're now planning for a trip to either Bali or somewhere in Indonesia. I'm someone who likes to plan the itinerary, but I also like to be more adventurous and to seek out authenticity in the country itself. So asking the
Mhm.
locals what's good to go, what places to go, or places to eat, etc., etc. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Understand. Now, Adrian's a bit different because he is currently 18 years old, so he is the youngest of the crowd. So you might want to listen in on what he's thinking as of,
19 years
as what
old,
kind of.
Hazira.
Oh, sorry, 19 years old. You look young, but anyways, 19 years old. So you might want to think about how exactly can your destination market to someone who is 19 years old. But anyways, moving on to another one from Indonesia, Mr. Jodi. Jodi is the SEO and Content Specialist at Halal Trip. Jodi, what kind of traveler are you?
Hi, Zira. So I'm basically someone who travel most of the times with my friends, and sometimes even I try to like travel solo. I actually prefer something that is more locally immersive, something that I could live as if I'm local, or something that
Mm-hmm.
is entirely different from what I have like went to, or something that I've actually like went from. Yeah.
Right, understand. So culture is a bit more of your thing. Uh-huh. Understand. Okay, moving on to Sufi. So Sufi is the digital marketing and communications at Halal Trip. So let's listen in on what kind of traveler is she?
Okay, hi, assalamualaikum everyone. If I want to describe myself, as like what kind of traveler I am, I would say that I'm a traveler that goes for like leisure activities. I go to a country based on the aesthetics, the activities, the culture. So I really like to like immerse myself in the culture of like a particular country, and I actually don't mind spending a lot when I travel, as long as I can like fully experience like the whole culture and like the whole country on its own. I
Mm-hmm.
would really like, I don't mind spending, yeah, for like the experience. Yes.
Right, understand. Okay, that's a really good trait. I think differently from most of the Gen Zs is that sometimes people think that Gen Zs are a bit more on the budget side, but for someone who is like Sufi, she doesn't mind spending a bit more for authentic experiences. Okay, so we'll move on to our first question for today. What are some of the key factors that Gen Z travelers consider when choosing their travel destination? We'll start off with maybe Adrie can go first.
All right, so I think the first and foremost would be food and culinary experiences, because food plays a significant role in the Gen Z travelers and the decisions they make in the process. We enjoy trying out new and diverse cuisines, and obviously destinations known for their culinary offerings, like local street food and like vibrant food scenes, are particularly appealing to us. So examples like local delicacies, street food, or any cuisine that is authentic to the country itself. Next would be aesthetics and obviously Instagrammability, because I feel that Gen Z travelers are heavily influenced by visual platforms such as Instagram and TikTok. We look for
Mm.
destinations that is stunning, appealing, picturesque, architectural, and like that has colorful street art, etc., etc. And we appreciate destinations that provide great opportunities to capture and share visually appealing places. So I've been to places like Japan, Korea, Paris, and which offers like interesting places to take photos. It sort of creates special moments because it is only found there, and it cannot be replicated. So I feel that having the aesthetics and ability to take photos and to be posted on social media is a key factor.
Mhm.
And I think last but not least would be a budget friendly option. Gen Zs, in for my like my take, Gen Z travelers are like more onto budget conscious, and we seek destinations that offer value for money. So we look for affordable accommodation options, transportation alternatives, and cost effective activities. So destinations with a range of like budget friendly options are likely to attract the Gen Zs. For me, an example would be when my friends and I planned a trip to KL. We searched up high and low for affordable places to stay, and we ended up finding an Airbnb that we could share the cost. As for transportation, we decided to go for the train, as it was the most affordable out of the many options that we thought of. To us, it is about saving money and spending it on activities and food rather than wasting it on transport as well as places to stay, so that we can maximize like the quality time instead of being on a budget for the whole trip. Yeah.
Mhm. Understand. Thank you for that. I think that was a really good roundup of key factors that Gen Zs would usually look for. I think, like what you said, they're a bit more on the budget side, and more. I think the keyword is value for money. How about Adila?
Yeah, for me, well, I can't speak to all of the Gen Zs, but for me, the main factor is safety and security, because as an
Mhm.
anxious person, I just need that sense of security when traveling to another place in order to be able to fully enjoy the travel experience. And that's especially true in foreign destinations. So I'd like to know where I can go in case something happens. For example, as a foreigner, I would feel really safe in a place that where the Indonesian embassy or consulate exists. And then
Mhm.
after that, and the other factor is aesthetics and attractions. So when I travel, I would like to seek a change of scenery. So ideally, it's somewhere that's different from where I came from. And then also accommodation options. I prefer places that offer a variety of accommodation options based on my budget. And it's better if the accommodation is listed online and has legit reviews from previous travelers, which also adds to this sense of security. Because again, I'm the kind of traveler that likes everything planned out and wants to make an informed decision. Yeah.
Yes, I have never actually thought about choosing a destination or a hotel that is near to the Indonesian embassy or like my country's embassy, which I think is a really good tip. Now that I think about it, when we talk about safety and security, you never know what's going to happen. To always know that you have an office or like a Singapore embassy to go to. For example, for my case, I think that is a really good tip for me to consider on my trip. But anyways, talking about safety and security. I think for Adila and Sufi, I think you guys are Gen Z travelers, and on top of that, you guys are also female travelers. So I'm pretty sure your key factors that affect your travel destination, play a big role. Is slightly different from when a male chooses a destination. I think because of our gender, because of our concerns. So maybe Sufi can share a bit more on what are some of your key factors when choosing a travel destination.
Okay, so about the safety part, yes, obviously before going for like a trip, I would like pay for like my travel insurance and stuff like that, right? But I feel like when I go to a trip or I travel, I have this mindset where I really don't want to like worry a lot about like, oh, what would happen, the what ifs. I travel to a country with a mindset that, oh, I really want to enjoy. So I don't know if this is a good thing, but like the safety part is not like top of my concern because I'm actually a very adventurous person. So I go there with a really open mindset, just enjoy, obviously, be mindful of my surroundings and stuff. I do see the country like, I do feel like the safety factor is really important, but as of like as a whole, I don't see it as like a key factor as of why I travel to a country. But if you were to ask me what I do consider when traveling to a country, is that I go to a country or I travel because of the authentic experience. So I feel like as a Gen Z, I value the authentic and immersive experience. I seek destinations that offer me like a unique and genuine cultural experience. And I actually prefer like destinations or places that are away from tourist saturated places and
Mm-hmm.
like overly commercialized places. So one example would be when I went to Morocco, right? Because before going there, I consulted a native who is currently staying in Singapore. So he knows like places where it's not like overly saturated with tourists. So it's in Morocco, I visited Lorica Valley. So basically, that valley is a house full of like native Moroccans, and I experienced going there, sitting there, dining in there, and having to like taste like the tajin chicken. So tajin chicken is their signature cuisine there, or like food there. So seeing like how they serve us tea, how their good hospitality, first and foremost, is like really just chef's kiss. I really love how they treat us, how they serve us food, how they talk to us. So that's a really unique and genuine experience that until now, although it was like a trip I went 5 years ago, I still can remember vividly, and that's like one of my core memories actually. Yeah, that's all.
Wow, that is really nice. I think it's very mashallah to say to say that. I think it's really how do I say it? I can't find a better word than mashallah, but it's really nice that you get to chance upon someone who is a native and someone that you can trust to bring you around and to bring you to places that are not touristy. You know, sometimes people just take the easy way out and just look for touristy destinations and like, okay, you'll enjoy it here. But it's the different, it's the authentic experience that we're trying to look for in these destinations that it's a bit more interesting to talk about. You know, when you talk about, okay, I went to Morocco, but or did I just go to Chefchaouen, or did I just go to Fez? You know, all those things you can see online, but what are some of the things that you can offer to your destination that's a bit more unique than rather than what you see online already? So, on the topic of travel, I just want to invite Jodi to explain to us a bit more on like what does halal travel mean to you? I think halal travel is sometimes loosely interpreted to different meanings. But I think for Gen Zs, what do you think is halal travel to you?
Okay, thank you, Adira. So for halal travel itself, for Gen Zs or even me myself, it's still the same definition, but it's how we interpret it. So halal travel itself, it's still a style of tourism that basically satisfies the particular needs and demands of the Muslim, in accordance to the Islamic teachings itself, right? This includes factors such as food, lodgings, prayer spaces, and probably cultural encounters that uphold the Islamic experience and principles itself. So for Gen Z travelers itself, halal travel is actually like something that offers the chance of us to be able to like see the world, travel and explore more about each destinations, while still being able to like observe and practice our own religion without worry. So basically, if we're talking about halal travel itself, for Gen Z, the basic thing we look is whether the travel destination itself prioritizes us as a Muslim, by providing the things that Muslim actually need, I would say, like to be able, in order to have like the full enjoyment during our travel and to be able to travel safely. I think aside from that, if we're talking about halal travel, the first thing that we usually look for is the easiness and the guaranteed access to food that has been like certified as halal, or is it like Muslim um, owned, that kind of stuff. That means that it indicates that it has been like prepared according to Islamic dietary requirements. So it is like one of the first stuff, the basic stuff that we look in halal travel, which also means that we're trying to like avoid items that are off limits to consume. And then aside from that, the things that we look in the halal travel itself for Gen Zs is like how can we like travel, but while being allowed to freely practice our own religion without like fear or prejudice or discrimination. So I think that lodgings and probably like Muslim-friendly amenities that are offered to us, like prayer rooms or close proximity to like mosques, something that could like help us in performing our daily prayers, could be like the thing that we search the most for halal travel itself, as and how we Gen Zs also like perceive it. And then I think that combined with our with Gen Zs and the pretty active planning and travel activities, these previous subjects is like the make it or break it deal in a halal travel. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree because I think halal travel is it's a wide topic now, don't you think? I feel like halal travel is not only about eating halal, it's also about enabling Muslims to travel with ease. So for example, I mean I know of a hostel in Japan where usually when you go to hostels, it is unlikely that there is space for you to pray within the room itself because you might be interrupting someone else or you're sharing the room with somebody else. But this hostel in Japan, they put together a small room with a wudu area to enable Muslims staying in that hostel to make the prayer there, which I think solves the whole being inclusive, being respectful to different religions. So I think a big kudos to that hostel, I must say. But yes, moving on to our next question. I think that was a really good runner of what halal travel is. Moving on to our next question for the crowd over here. What do you think, or do you think there are any particular travel trends any destination should look out for that are unique to the Gen Z generation? This is a very wide question, I must say. So I'm going to open the floor to whoever goes first. Maybe I can try to ask Sufi first, maybe, our resident Gen Zer.
Okay, so the trends. What I can think of right now is maybe like alternative accommodations. I feel like right now Gen Zs we don't want to go to like our like traditional hotels. I think some Gen Zs, they really are on a budget. They want to travel, they want to explore, they want to experience traveling to different countries with different cultures. But I think rather than spending on accommodations like hotels, like expensive hotels, they would rather put that money to value to accommodations that can serve them or like give them the full experience. So for example, I'm giving an example, like I'm going to Korea in September. So I've planned a bit with my friends on the accommodations. So we're not going to splurge on I think I did say that I didn't like mind, I don't mind spending, right? But I feel like instead of going to like traditional, like, you know, modern hotels that don't give me that experience, I would rather spend it on a hanok. So basically, a hanok is an accommodation that you usually see on K dramas, like the wooden houses where you sleep on the floor, not exactly on the floor, but they have like a mattress on the floor instead of like regular beds. And yeah, I feel like those accommodations really, you know, attract gains traction from all of these Gen Zs. And what else, I feel like, oh, in Jeju Island also there's like this glamping area. So I feel like this type of accommodations attract Gen Zs. We no longer want to stay in like regular hotels already. We want to explore and like really experience truly how living in like a traditional like a particular countries, like how they usually like live there, you know. Okay, and then another one I feel like a lot of people don't usually think Gen Zs would do is volunteer tourism. So I feel like I have gone to Cambodia. I went there for a humanitarian trip. So I went to Cambodia to help out the kids there, and that also serves as like a cultural experience. You know how we see how different the kids there, how they study, and how is it we do comparisons with the Cambodian kids and also the Singaporean kids. Obviously we are very privileged here, so going there and helping there a lot like puts things into perspective, like how I should be grateful, and like about the privileges that I have in Singapore. It also serves as like you know, a reflection for me. So I feel like a lot of Gen Zs right now, although we like to enjoy and like do go to a country for leisure activities, we also consider volunteering as a trend for us to go to a particular country. Yeah.
Very well said, I must say. Yes, I definitely agree that Gen Zs are no longer into the whole traditional type of accommodation or lodging, which are hotels. We're definitely, I think it started off with Airbnb, and then which means alternative lodging, which is most of the time a lot cheaper than traditional hotels. And then it moved on to more unique experiences. If you were to go to Airbnb at the moment, you would see that they have different types of housing. So you can stay in an igloo, you can stay in a tree house, you can stay in a kampong, for example. So I think that is definitely something that a trend a lot of these travelers are embarking on, and they're obviously enjoying that experience. But I must say that above all of that experience, I think not most of the time, but sometimes these experience or unique experiences, they come at a cost, you know. So sometimes the cost is still a bit high for Gen Zs, which puts them back to budget hotels, puts them back into hostels. So even though they want to experience that lifestyle, it's a bit difficult for them because they're on a budget and their spending power is still limited, although it has grown. So I must say that is a bit of balance that we need to have in the travel industry. But I definitely get where you're coming from. Okay, moving on to Jodi. What do you think? What do you think about the travel trends within the Gen Z travelers generation?
I think for the trends itself, it's really like based on technology. Would you believe like during like last year we had like sustainable and eco-friendly travel. I remember it being like something big, like Gen Z travelers being really like environmentally conscious, I would say, and then they seek out destinations, accommodations, and even sometimes activities that promote the sustainability, such as like that could help in like the eco-friendly practices. And then I would say other trends that I could think of is something like the polar opposite of the technology. For example, like the digital detox and even like off-grid travel. I think that is also like something that is hiking up. Like Gen Z's, like we seek for like opportunities to basically disconnect ourselves and our lives from like our devices, our like daily activities, daily responsibilities, and probably like try to unwind and connect again with nature and enjoy the moments that we have during those quiet times. Another one, I think the biggest one up until now is the food tourism itself. Food connects people, right? And I think that Gen Z travelers had like a really keen interest, I would say, in exploring both local cuisines or even like the newer cuisines, food cultures, or even like fusion dishes. Like we really enjoy like new dishes or like visiting food markets. Something that is like not really that big, but actually we really like appreciate them most of the times. Something that is unique, something that could offer like a culinary experience, I would say, that we don't really have at home. And probably the last one is like the halal travel itself. So I think that halal travel itself is also like something that's interesting for some of the Gen Zs, since I think that halal travel doesn't mean only like having halal food available or halal like mosque and places to pray, but something that also could give like cultural immersions that I mean, on top of like the natural attractions, places to sightsee and travel attractions that could help in like increasing the enjoyment itself. Something that had like a strong tie to like Muslim background, such as like historical sites and arts that we can actually enjoy without being like burdened enough. Like could also like help us in increase like the halal travel experience. So I think that it is also like one of the trends that are like going right now.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. Like recently we went to Uzbekistan for a quick trip, and we went to this museum, or rather, most of the parts in Uzbekistan were closely connected to the religion, but somehow it has never occurred to me that these scholars came from Uzbekistan, or like there were such scholars from Uzbekistan. So to hear the tour guide talk about these major events in the Islamic history and how it's tied back to Uzbekistan is very enlightening and very eye-opening. I never thought that our scholars would be so smart. So like different things, like for example the sundial, like when you need to check the time, I would think that okay, in school I would learn that okay, it came from this region, so, and then my knowledge just stopped there. But I didn't know that it was also created in Uzbekistan. So it's a very, I think, to go on top of your point is that I think guided tours are still relevant, but at the same time, it is so important to highlight a bit more on like cultural experiences or like cultural knowledge that is closely related to Islam or closely related to another religion, so that we can learn more about that. And I think it's so important to invest in tour guides now more than ever, because as a traveler you wouldn't want to just see without knowing what is the history of the place. So you mentioned, I think you mentioned off the beaten path. Maybe I want to invite Adila to share a bit more on, for example, the off the beaten path experience that you've been on. How did you discover these destinations?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, one unique way to find new destinations is that I like to go on Google Maps or Google Earth, and then I would zoom into a location and just use Street View or read the reviews to get a glimpse of what it's like there. And sometimes I get surprisingly good recommendations. And one destination that I've been to that I thought had its own charm and appeal was Ninh Bình in Vietnam. And I feel that it's really peaceful there and really serene as we were surrounded by nature and also green pastures. And the locals there were also really friendly, which really contributed to the positive experience. And there were a variety of halal friendly food options, as many of the local cuisines are vegetables. And because Ninh Bình wasn't particularly um, popular, I mean, not as popular as the bigger cities in Vietnam, I felt that it was one way for me to discover the um, the side of Vietnam that I don't really get to see in mainstream media. Yeah.
Right. So how long were you in Vietnam for?
Yeah, I was in Vietnam for about a week, and I went to Hanoi
Okay.
and then to Ninh Bình, which is in the southern, like southeastern side, like below Hanoi. And
Yeah.
it was in a December.
And
It was in January, so it was really cold.
right. And all of this was like you traveled with a guide, or was it just through, how do you travel around?
Yeah, at that time, I actually had a team with me. Like I had friends with me as well, so I wasn't completely alone. And um, we did have a guide at the place, so we went to Snake Landscape, and there was a local guide there, which really helped provide us context as to how was history of the place and other places that we could go to, like visit.
Right. Okay, that's a nice destination that I've never actually heard of. I know definitely Vietnam is a destination is upcoming, I must say. Most of my friends are going. It's really interesting because I never really thought of it as like the destination that like I've always seen it as almost similar to its neighboring countries, but hearing your story, I think it really changes what I think. Okay, so I would like to pose my last question. Um, what do you think are the specific challenges or concerns that Gen Zs face when they're traveling, and how can we overcome that as the travel industry? Maybe I'll open the floor to everyone to answer. Jody, you can go now. Please cut me.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. For I think for this discussion, the thing that we can refer to as like the main problem that Gen Z actually like phrase is like if we could refer to like the three pillar theory, I would say that we usually see in defining productivity, which includes time, energy, and money. I'm sure you guys know. I think on that particular theory, money would be the main concern since like again, Gen Z travelers usually have like limited financial resources, right? And like to overcome this challenge, they try to like seek out budget-friendly travel options such as like affordable accommodations, cost-saving transportation. I would say like what Adrie has like mentioned before, like trying to like use trains as much as possible. That's that kind of stuff. Using budget airlines and stuff. And I think aside from that, external influences also like had like a big part on before they did their own planning and embarking on their trips because again influences from the technological side, the social media is like one of the biggest problems, while also like blessing in disguise because we usually have like a lot of informations and a lot of like thinking, and they could, that could lead to like information overload, especially like sometimes even under Gen Zs would like have their own opinions. Don't go there, don't go here. Like so maybe like some stigmas that they created themselves. So I think that in tackling those kind of problems, we could do some. Usually we do more research on before going there. Like, is it comfortable enough? Is it like secure enough? Do we have language barriers? Is it like accessible? Like, is it really like inclusive for every kind of travelers, or is it like, and are we able to have like the connectivity or like the ability to staying connected with other like other people from the part of the world? Yeah.
Understand. Yeah, I definitely think so as well. But before we wrap up for this discussion, I just want to invite Adrie once more, as the youngest of the crowd, to share with us what is okay. If there is one trend, or rather, if there is one thing a destination should do to market to your generation, what would it be?
I think it will be more towards adventure and outdoor experiences because for me personally, I love like traveling and experiencing the mountainous areas or like places that are like Instagrammable and also like popular in that country specifically. So Gen Z travelers have like a keen interest in adventure and outdoor activities. We seek like adrenaline pumping experiences like hiking, rock climbing, zip lining, bungee jumping, etc. So we often prioritize destinations that offer like a wide range of outdoor adventures and the opportunities for exploration. So I went to Japan sometime like I think like 4 years ago, and I was just like looking forward to going to Mount Fuji, being in the streets of Osaka, Kyoto, and Hokkaido, experiencing like the night lights, the city lights of those places, and also in the rural areas where we got to like go on this monorail. So it's like a small train that we can like control on our own and like go up the mountains and sort of like experience the beauty of nature and all that stuff. So for me, I want to experience like everything and anything I can possibly see. Yeah, so sightseeing and trying to like taste their delicacies. Obviously, like you have to look for the halal ones lah. So yeah, just being there and seeing it with my own eyes is something that I really enjoy, and I think most of the Gen Zs also would love to enjoy. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that. I would say that monorail sounds very dangerous. I would not recommend anyone to go on it if AJ is the one driving it. Kidding.
It's
Anyways, 100% what?
100% safe.
Safe, huh?
Nobody,
Okay.
yeah, nobody was harmed.
Okay, very good. Alhamdulillah. Anyways, thank you guys for listening in to this panel discussion. We have come to the end of spilling the tea on Gen Z panel discussion. I would like to thank our speakers for today, Jodi, Sufi, Adila, and Adrie, for their valuable, very, very good insights. I hope your destination is able to benefit from this talk, and I hope we had a good time, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this panel discussion. We'll move on to the next one in just a few minutes. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.